considered Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Permanent Secretaries, and also serve as the chairman of the TAI, Kun Adisak, acting president of the Thai Automotive Institute, and boards of directors of Thai Automotive Institute, executive, distinguished guests. This is my great honor and pleasure of being here with you to celebrate the 20th anniversaries of the Thailand Automotive Institute, or the TAIs as we casually call them. It is my also great pleasure to share with you about the future of the automotive industry. When Kun Adisak asked me to give a speech tonight, when I look at the topic, it is quite challenging and timely for us to talk about this topic, and even more challenging for me to talk this topic to the people who spend the whole life in their life in this industry, all the people who know more than me. But I will share with you about what is the government policies, or what we are doing, and what we are planning to do in the futures. And of course, in that pictures, all of you will play a great role for us. And without you, I don't think it's our master plan for the futures of Thai automotive industry won't be success. They asked me to use a PowerPoint anyway, but hopefully that is not like giving a lectures, but please be patient with me anyway. And when talking about the change, everyone in this room knows about what we are facing now. So we are all living with the change, just that we may not constantly be aware of them. But we often say change in the past decades is very has been rapidly, both in all aspects, society, environmentally, politically, technologies, or even environment. But however, I do believe that we are witnessing even more rapid change, and their impact will be even greater than what we have been seen in the past. And when you look at, I think you will get a lot of informations about the mega trends changing what we expect to see in the future. Many thinkers, of philosophers, whatever, of futurists, they will look at about the mega trends in the futures, maybe difference, maybe, I don't know, when I look at the internet, I will see about, a lot of mega trends, but I try to conclude into 5 of them. But I think it's likely to be that. The first one is the shift in the world economic power from the west to the east. This is what we think. In the next 30 years, it's about 2050s, they said the gross domestic product for the 7 economies, which is we call the new superpower, comprising China, India, Brazil, Russia, Indonesia, Mexico, and Turkey, will be more than double than that of the G7s, which is about the UK, US, Italy, Canada, Japan, Germany, and France. This new economic superpower have been economy with a growth at a higher rate and increasing purchasing power, and more than half of the global inhabitants will be living in these countries. And surprisingly, is more than half of them are located in Asia. And the second change is about the demographic shift. Everyone in this room knows that Thailand are entering into the aging society, and will be greater more. The people, tend to live a little bit longer, healthier. And this is a good thing, one thing that, you can, sometimes that you have the older people working with you is good, because there is no shortcut for having an experience. That's good for you. It's a better way is to get the fast experience is to get from the older and wiser people. And it seems like the wiser people, they seem to be older than you. But the other side of the coin is when you look at the macro point of view, it's a big burden to the government budget. Of course, I'm in the government, but don't take me wrong that I hate the old people, because I'm getting old as well. I'm retiring, consider that I get a pension every month anyway. But it is the bright side of the demographic shift is all of you in this room someday, very soon, will be replaced by a new generations. The generations who has a higher educations, greater talents, and more technological adept than you. This is not challenging for our futures, but this is a bright side, of course. But I think it's an obligation for all of us to foster them, make sure that they will be our futures. The third thing is we will witness the influx of the people into the cities, and that is it. It will necessary to have a much better management to serve a large member of the population crowded in relatively a small area. Some experts or some organizations, we will mention, it is a UN, they said about 20% of the population in the world in the next 30 years will be living in the mega cities. And this is what we need in the future, is we need a better service, more efficient services to serve those people who are living in the mega metropolitans. This might call for the intelligence logistics system and all the other supporting infrastructure to make the city capable of accommodating such as the huge expansions of the population. And the fourth mega trend is a rise in the new technologies. We just heard the new words like cloud computing, about the artificial intelligence, about the self-driving car, just in not many years ago, very recently. And this have brought radical changes to how the things are done, to the extent of being disruptive. An obvious example is they have replaced a human being that have traditionally been the communication means or the machine operators. Who knows? The human beings may end up with the AI implant to assist their activities in the future, I guess. I went to Japan, and of course, may I mention the company's names, Denso. They show us about the robot to put, I think the human, when they wear the robot, they seem to be a bit stronger. They carry more, the heavier stuff than the simple people. I think maybe in the future, everyone should have the new, some robot system in their body, implant in their bodies. The people, maybe we may be able to run faster than the human being can do. But for the automotives, I always said maybe we might have some new technologies in there. Not just only for the last, I will keep them for the automotive vehicle when I mentioned about the new innovations or the disruptive technologies. The last, I guess, the new technologies maybe. The other one is I just talked to Adisak this morning about the anti-gravities. Someday, who knows, the vehicles might not need the view. I saw some video clips, I think, from my social medias. I like the two couples, couples, and they move from one place to a place. It's like it's like a car without the tire anyway, and floating around on the ground. We haven't heard about the name, the word drones in last decades, but now it seems very simple. It's become the toys of the boys and the kids. Someday we might beat the traffic, especially in Bangkok, by driving the drone, personal drone. And the other one is about the mega trends in the future, that about the environmental deteriorations and the increasing scarcity of the resources. We heard the words about the climate change, and of course, the conflict of having the natural resources from among the different interested group, and this is we have been forced to require to find a better alternatives. Global warming is one of alarming encounters. It has brought the world a new normal, where the weather conditions and the season have a fewer and fewer correlations. Of equally critical is the increasing needs for the natural resources, such a result of the increasing world population and its standard of living. They require a lot. They become more picky because the people seem to get more information, can be able to access into the informations easier, faster, and cheaper than before. The need for natural resources is heading in an opposite direction with its availability that is becoming an increasing scale. The automotive sector is among key culprits of this looming environmental crisis, and hence it could also become one key changes for the better environment. Electric vehicles are expected to have a much greater role in moving the people and goods. Everyone knows, and we are heading in that path and that directions. Some countries have shown their interest and moving forward in that part. China announced their plan to become the EV production base for the world. It has policy to promote a joint ventures between the global company and local Chinese company to produce the EV to serve the whole world markets. And now they're becoming the largest number of the EV register in the world. Increasing the population density, some countries have made the right sharings because they have done to beat with the environmental concerns of the people or from the CO2 beside the EV that they try to do. And more city residents sharing the limited areas of the cities means fewer parking availabilities per person and possible increasing a difficulty in the vehicle ownership. Ride-sharing services use online network and the mobile applications to connect and locate its clients, and the vehicle could be the more efficient and popular means of transportation. Many cities in Europe has this become the normal, I think, means for the transportations of the people in the big city in European countries, I would say. In Thailand as well, in Bangkok, we will see the share biking as well. But it's still not many numbers. That's all that we can notice. Autonomous driving as well as the new technologies that enable the car to drive itself, is getting so close and will become a reality soon. Tests in Taiwan have been ongoing, but we might, as a public, are not updated in the detail, but everyone knows what these tests are going on. One expectation, as you may have heard from the Tesla incidents in the US, and that Tesla car did not have a driver, but still one person was in the car to prevent any unexpected incidents. We can figure that many sensors and a high-speed camera are used. Development of the underlying AI, artificial intelligence, has been kept secret to the public, but I am sure that it will not be longer before the technology is commercially feasible. It is exciting for having such kind of things, but it has to be in the macro implementations, not just individual. So that was in order to avoid the unexpected, unpressure incidents that we have heard some cases in the Tesla case. The connectivity intelligent in the cars, in the futures, they will be connected to traffic management, and as well as the intelligent transportation system we have been developed, and we enhance the beyond the traffic management capabilities. It is expected that these technologies, the intelligent transportation system would be capable of connecting the pedestrians, driver, vehicles, and the traffic light to ensure that the safety and efficiency for the human mobilities of the futures. This example you can see from many clips, in the future. I went to China, so I saw this video, and they show about how the people move from one place to the other place by using the very, what they call the mobilities. They're not, maybe the move from one place to the other place, maybe not using the car, but the other form of the mobilities. And of course, they need the AI to connect every point where they are going. And these rapid changes are calling for Thailand to adapt and develop as fast as it's not faster, if not faster. Only in the innovation and the better technologies can Thailand respond to this fast-changing order of the world. The Thailand 4.0 is a master plan outlining key growth engines as follows. I mentioned this in this morning already, but for those who who was in my speech this afternoon, please be patient a bit. The first we call the productive growth. We need to increase our productivities by finding ways to produce more output with less resources and pick our target industry to make sure that we will use our capabilities and comparative advantage to focus on some new engines of growth. The second one is the inclusive growth. Our growth needs to be inclusive, where the majorities of the people in these countries is enabled to participate and enjoy the prosperity of the success. We can leave no one behind. Last but not least is the green growth. The environmentally friendly has become a mandatory globally. Speaking beyond the Thailand export, it should be in our conscience to leave this place greener to the next generations. And now it's become the compulsory for many, not just we're talking about the LCA in the life cycle assessment. is become the parts of the commercial practice. Thailand needs to move from the traditional value-added industry where we have enjoyed. Thailand needs relatively advantage. We need to grow industry that create the values where we could have a true competitive advantage. In the Thailand 4.0, we classify our comparative advantage on the 5 group of the technologies and the industry. One is biochemistry. The second one is renewable energies. Third is in engineering and design. Fourth, health and the quality of life. And the last one is innovation. Based on what I have said and underlying in the Thailand 4.0, the Ministry of Industry have translated the objective and what said in the Thailand 4.0 in our industry 4.0. We identify the groups of these 5 groups into more precise in the industry 4.0 plans. 10 S-curve industry are them. And we divided into the 2 groups. The first group is we build them and we select them or classify them based on our existing comparative advantage and our potentials that we have in present. And the other 5 groups that we are identified as new potentials. I think the next 5 of them will be robotic, aviations, bioeconomies, and as well as the wellness and digital economies. And this is the one. And for the existing S-curve of 5 of them, vehicle is one of them. And we call it a futures alternatives. And what the future alternative is, Thailand's set an eye on the EV. We identify the EVs is the future for next 5 years. And it's not just drop from the sky. It's not just our imaginations. We have talked with all of you. We have discussed with the experts. And we look at our potentials and capabilities, what we have now. And I do believe that the EV policies, hopefully that we get the cooperative corporations with all of you in this room. And you will be maintain to be our players, a great player for Thailand in the next futures, in the future, for the next 5 years at least. So that's why the BOI have set some policies, the Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Energies, as well as the Ministry of Finance also set a series of measures and incentives for those who are interested in investment in the EV in Thailand. But overall, the Thailand 4.0 is we creating our economic growth based on the sufficiency philosophy of our late beloved kings, Lama IX. What is a sufficient philosophy? I think everyone knows what it is. But if you want to say a simple saying that, it's simple that fill up when it's deficient. Stop it when it is sufficient. And share it when there is excess. Simple as it is. from the Thailand's 4.0 of our Prime Minister, we intend to strike the balance among the four principles in economic prosperity, environmental friendly, living with harmony, and of course, and wisdom. Now, let me turn to the histories of the Thailand automotive industry. The development, the Thai auto industry has grown from the import substitutions. I didn't see the figure is very low, but anyway, I try to get from my memories. They expect me to stand here about 1 hour at least. 1 hour at least, okay. Thank you. Anyway, but of course, very difficult for me, standing between you and your dinner. It's very difficult for me. So, but I will keep my talk very short anyway. Okay, I keep my the history more than 50 years of industry in Thailand. Now we're starting from the import substitution, as you know, and then we start building up our to enhance our strength on the supporting industries, and that's why the series of the policies and measures has been launched out, were launched out at that time, including to the human developments on the automotive industry, including the local contents policies, the high tariff in order to protect our industry. And as well as in recently, we also have our champions. The first, I think we have the pickup truck as our first product champions, and then the eco car, and of course the EV for the next. I just talked to Dr. Natapon about we try to set the new crop of the new champions, but anyway based on the EV car, right? The EV, right? Okay, but hopefully that we can you will join us in that one. We become the manufacturing hub for the automotive sectors for, I think, most of the the car makers, and consider Thailand as their second home already, and we have the most capable local part manufacturing industry. I would say capable and a complete supporting industry. The entire industries, both supporting and the automotive car makers and related industry has a great contribution to the economic growth. The automotive sectors are listed. I think they have been listed in the top of the export list of Thailand for, I think, more than 2 decades. If my memory serves me correctly, I remember that when I look at the export list in the 1993, this is the first year that the Thailand has an official FTA, which is the ASEAN FTA anyway. And at that time, the largest sectors of the Thai export is electronics, and the second one is automotive. And since then until now, 2 sectors, they are, be number 1 or 2. The first and the second on the past decades. And they as a homes of more than 100 employments. And they also the place for incubate our new technologies to many industries. But when you look at the smiling curve, we see that value added has not increased as much as year before because we are very focused on our productions. But it's time for us to think if we want to create more values in our industry for the whole supply chains. We have to move backward and move forward from the smile curve. The activities to increase the great value is about the R&D, designing, or move towards about having the new technologies for the markets, which is not easy for us. Thailand, we never have the national car policies. We have only the international car policies. We want to be a home of all key players in the world and make sure that they will comfortably living with us in Thailand. And I think yes, it's a time for us to move to the higher values, not just only for one part or one players, but throughout the entire supply chains of the industry. Innovations, R&Ds would need to be among the industry priorities. But if we set an eyes on the EV, we need to have a co-research and development on and the system, all parts and the systems on the EV, of the EV with the EV makers. Khun Adisak mentions now the new makers who coming into the EV industry, EV may not be the old face, the old names or the old company that they have since. There are more technicals in the others sectors. But for the plans of the government to promote the EV as the next product champions, a SIG measure has announced to support automotive sectors, which is parts of the Thailand 4.0, as I mentioned. The investment promotion for the EV to the local productions, we also have to stimulate the domestic demands. I think we promote some, we expect that we will have about 25% of the government feed in the next, so that we promote and also we set some regulations and some incentive, not incentive, for some special measure for government agency to have the EV in their feed. And we expect to have about 25% of the vehicle in Thailand in the next 10-20 years to be an EV as well. As for the infrastructures, I think the TISI or TC also have the standards for the many parts of the EV, including the chargings. And the Ministry of Energy also provides some incentive and subsidies, some part for anyone who want to invest in the charging stations. And some companies has paid their interest and some has put into the market already. And we also look into the futures in order to cope with the people on the environmental issues. We require for those who want to invest in the EV to set up some good management of the used battery of that one. I think the batteries before that for the EV we expect to have about 10 years. But I have a chance to talk with some people I think in this room, I don't want to say the name, but they said that for the second life of the battery for the EV is very much possible. And now and now they are doing it this way. Now it's come to the scaring parts for some supporting industry. This is a fact of life. When the new product, final product is coming out, of course, some parts will be out of date, obsolete, and we whip out from the market. We might have a new ones to coming in and become a key components from the EV. Battery in the future for the EV, the battery manufacturers will play a critical role. Auto parts will become the module-like. The module-like are there will be electronics and electrical components more. A growing opportunities for the software developers companies like Google's, Microsoft, and IBM's are already taking parts in the auto businesses. They are all new players. They are come from totally different technologies that we used to in our automotive industry. The new businesses are emerging, such as the charging devices, battery sharings. Gas stations are turned into electrical charging station, battery exchange stations. There definitely is a need for the waste management business to handle the used battery as well. This is the new business, the new opportunities that will be seen in the futures when the EV get onto the streets. Now, how will TAI will respond to this change? Because we agree in this afternoon that the TAI will be survive at least in the next 20 years, after 2 decades of the turbulence of challenging environments in the past. But in the future, it is more. I think they will face with a more challenge that they have seen before, and the turbulence is even greater. From my point of view, I think the TAI needs to become the government strategist in proposing a direction and policy for the auto industries. They need to be a center of excellence in the data collection and management for the auto industry. Of course, they are doing now, but they need to be more data, a bigger data, because we need to analyze and make a projections so as to guide the local parts industry in the future plans. TAI needs to establish a network of relevant organizations, including education institutions, research centers, both local and globally. The network will support all the information they need to exchange the informations and technologies updates so as to support its analytical work. The TAI needs to expand to serve additional industry, namely aviation, rails, logistics, robotics, and automations. And this one I add because this is a government policy, and we need someone to responsible for that. And so far, we couldn't find anyone who capable to taking care of this one. And in the past 2 years, TAI had to show their capabilities and their potentials, and they have done a great job on this one. Actually, they are related. Their technologies in this sector that I just mentioned, they are related to each other anyway, and even closer in the future, in the futures. And the TAI needs to support the human resources development for the auto industry. The institute develop curriculum, provide training courses, concerning on the areas of expertise specifically needed by the industry. A TAI needs to become a testing center for vehicles of the traditional internal combustion engines and the upcoming electrical driven. A TAI will provide a training personnel to serve industry testing needs. I think now they have to work with TISI in Thailand because now we will have the testing course will be complete very soon. Hopefully in the February of next year, I think they will start commencing our operations partly. That is what we. I think now TAI also working with the ITCs. ITC is in we call Industrial Transformation Center, which is under the taking care of the Ministry of Industry, especially for Khun Panuwat here, sitting here. From the DIP, the Department of Industrial Promotions, we have our headquarters at the Koi Nam Thai campus centers. And also we have many big brothers to work with us as well. And many big brothers are going to work with us, hopefully. Right? Kun Suparat. Note his head. Okay, fine. Have you seen Toyota will join us very soon. And of course, the Thai automotive. I think this is what I would like to share with you. But lastly, what I just mentioned that telling you that what the TAI was found intentionally is from the government, from the Ministry of Industry, to be the coordinating organizations, connecting the private sectors and the governments for the automotive industry. They have to play this role. As we are alive in 2 decades of development and success today, we also are entering to the 3rd decade of that, like I mentioned, turbulence, even more than before. And the years ahead of full challenges of our auto industry. I urge every organization taking part in the industry to get involved cooperatively and constructively, having TAI as a central coordinating body. And Thailand has success in becoming the ASEAN regional manufacturing hub for the automotive industry. It is our mission to maintain Thailand as a manufacturing hubs for the vehicle of the futures. The Thai automotive industry is become a globally competitive and continue to be a key driver for the Thai economy towards sustainability and possibility. And this mission won't be accomplished without your kind and closely cooperations. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the keynote speech by Dr. Somchai Hañhiran, the Deputy Minister of Industry. And all of us will be counting down together. And as we all said all the time, that